On our last video, we had put in the windows, and of course the one before we did the doors and the chimney. Today, we're going to put in siding. Now, sometimes I hesitate to get too detailed on things as to why I do it and all this, but the reason I do is because all I'm showing you is a technique to design things. You can start with any floor plan, and you can decorate it with the whatever kind of windows, and you can make the windows any size you want them. I'm showing you a given size, but that size could be anything you decide on, whatever you think looks good, wherever you think a window or a door should go. Now, there's a thing that happens when you put corner trim on. And I hope I can explain this quickly and simply enough. These were 1.5 meters wide, okay? If I go 1.5 meters here, when I put the piece and I pull out by 4/10, okay, if I put a piece here that's 1.5 wide, when I pull it out, it's going to add 4 to that corner as well, okay? So if we want the reveal to be equal on this side and this side, we have to account for that. You don't have to account for it because this could be a little bit wide. It could be the width of the board wider as to what you see on that side. A lot of people do it that way, but a lot of people account for that. So we're going to account for it, and I hope this doesn't get too complicated. But our pullout is 0.4 meters, all right? So what we've got to do is subtract 0.4 from our 1.5 meters, okay? So that would be 1.1 meters. So instead of 1.5, we're just going to go in 1 point. Hopefully this will become clearer in just a minute. Let's go in 1.1. Enter that. Now let's harden our line. Hopefully this will, okay, there's our X. Look for the X. X is your friend. All right, now let's pull that out by 0.4. All right, type in 0.4, enter. All right, now, we don't have to worry about that on this side because we're coming from the edge of what's already been pulled out. All right, so this will be 1.5. All right. You don't have to worry with this if you don't want to, but it's just a detail that I thought I would explain to you. 1.5, enter. All right, now let's harden that line. Now, watch what's fixing to happen right here. See, that looks wider than that right now. But when I pull this out by that 0.4, now look what happens, see? Now they're equal. Does that make sense? So it's just a little thing you have to think about. Now, if you don't think about it, you're just going to wind up with this. That board there is going to appear to be, it will be wider than that board. And nobody may ever know, nobody may ever care. But it's just something I thought I'd point out, and you can deal with it if you want to, or not if you don't want to. All right, I'm just going to do the front, siding on the front. Once again, you don't want to watch me do this whole thing, but we'll get the siding on the front, and then I will go away and finish it and come back and show it to you. But let's do the same thing over here now. We're going to come in by 1.1 because we got to subtract our 0.4 from it. Get our dimension, our measuring tool. Go in 1.1 millimeters, I'm sorry. If you ever hear me say meter, I'm most likely meaning millimeter. All right. Find our X. Get down there. Now, let's pull that out by 0.4. Type in 0.4, hit enter. Now this one will be 1.5. Okay, let's harden our line. Now, don't get confused by our axis line there. You have to be careful about that. Sometimes it'll mess with you. All right. Come out 0.4. Now, our reveal is 1.5 inches on each side, or millimeter and a half on each side. Okay. Now we can put our siding in. That trim, our siding is going to fit inside of all of our trim work and have a little angle to it, and it will appear to be lapboard siding. Now, again, in this world, it is so small. If you were to try to use a 6 or 8 inch reveal like most houses do when you do lap siding, it would be so small, it just would not, the illusion would not be good. I have found that if you use a 1 foot, what would be 1 foot in the real world, but if you use that on your scale model, it works a little better. So in order to get that 1 foot, we've got to have 2 millimeter increments. So let's go to our measuring tool. You see me hunting from a tool over there every now and then. I'm talking and I'm thinking about what I'm trying to say, and my mind just doesn't multitask so well. Okay, type in 2, and let's just do that until we get to the top. 2. What we're doing is we're making, this is where our lines will go, but it tells us see, when you see that little box, that, whoop, something didn't go right. Control Z is your friend. All right. I see what happened. We're not on the wall. Got to be careful about that. Let's get rid of those. Now, let's go back. What was happening is it was tending to want to see the top of that trim instead of back in there. All right, now I'm on my line, go up 2. Here's how I know what was happening. You see how the dotted line disappears right here? It's because it's behind that facing. A minute ago, I could see the dotted line right there, and that let me know it was not on plane. It has to be on that wall, or what we're fixing to do will not work. Okay, see right there? All right. Hit your up arrow, and that guarantees you're on the up axis. All right. 2. I don't know why it's not wanting. Usually it's real intuitive. Hit your up arrow, and that'll guarantee you will be on the up axis at that point. All right. Once again, it's why it's giving me. Normally, it's very intuitive. Maybe I need to move it just a little bit. Sometime that'll. Yep, that was it. Sometimes it's pretty smart, but sometimes. Okay, now, if you want to double check to make sure you're on plane, we can't see the dots, can't see. See? All right, I think we're all on the house. And there's another way to do it too. Turn to the side. If they're all coming out at the same place, and they are, you can tell they're against the wall. All right, now let's make us some lapboard siding. Now, anytime you draw a line, Harden that line right there. Now be sure, this is really important. Do not start up here. Start back there. See the little X? That tells you you're on that dotted line. That X is your friend. All right, now, come over. This is where the space mouse is nice. I don't have to go over here and get my orbit tool. I can twist it with that. All right, now let's go from here. We're going to draw all these lines in. Then we're going to come back and we're going to mess with them. Once again, be sure you're down in that corner and not on top of the face. It's not wanting to give me the X for some. Okay, there it was. You want that X. The X is what you want. I don't know what the difference is between that little circle and the X, but it does make a difference. In fact, if you ever have trouble making what I'm fixing to do work, go back and redraw your line and make sure you start with X, because you probably got it off plane just a little bit. See, it can be on that line, but it might be in the middle of this one and not back here. That puts it off plane. That X tells you you are right where you want to be. All right. Now, this is a tricky one here. Draw your line all the way from that corner. Got to go all the way to the other side. Okay. Now notice when I drew these lines, it did not go all the way through. The dotted lines go all the way through. They go all the way across. These do not. They go exactly where you put them. All right, now our magic starts. Watch this. All of these faces can now be pushed and pulled. Watch this. See how that's active? That can be active. That can be pulled. Those cannot. See, it wants to pull that whole door because those are still dotted lines. All right. If you remember, we pulled this out 0.4. What we're going to do is pull this out 0.3. You'll see why in a minute. Okay, now I'm going to get in here real close because you've got to see this. This is the detail you've got to see. All right. What we're going to do is we're going to take this line, and you've got to be careful. Select that line. Watch it turn blue. See it turn blue right there? Nothing else turned blue, just that line. We want to get our move tool, and we want to move that line to that line. Now, look what happened. We have a little, something look like a little piece of lap siding. Now, again, push, pull tool, out 0.3, type it in, 0.3, enter. Now, go to our select tool. Always select the line. Otherwise, the move tool doesn't know what to work on. All right, very carefully. See when it says on edge? Okay, now go back to that line and let it snap in there. Okay, now I'm going to show you an alternate way to do that. Sometimes you get a line that's just really stubborn for whatever reason. I don't know. It's a miracle this program even works in the first place, so I don't fault it. It does a great job. Come out 0.3. Now, if you run into a real stubborn one, you still have to select this line right here. But you can also pull that line down. Watch this. See where it says on edge? All right. Pull that line down to here. See it snap right there? All right. See? still got your reveal. So it'll work either way. Whichever works best for you, you may find that technique works the best. This is a little tricky because that line is so close to this other one. If you're not in there pretty close. All right, let's push, pull. 0.3. And this is kind of routine. Once you get into the swing of it, you just keep going until you get the whole row done. Get our select tools. Carefully select just that line. That line is all you're wanting to move. You don't want anything else to move. Okay. Once you touch that line, they sort of snap together. You know, so it's... Now, let's push, pull. 0.3. See, once you learn these techniques, you can apply it to any kind of house, any kind of shape that you can create. Draw your floor plan and pull it up, and then start decorating. That's why I wanted to take all of this just one step at a time, one function at a time, like doors and then windows. And if I tried to do all of this in one session, it would start to run together after a while. All right, we get our move tool. We want to move that to, okay, see that one got a little squirrely on me there, but whoop, all right. Let's do that again. There's a line there that I don't like. Let's do it again. All right, now we got it. All right. Okay, now we got a little trick we got to do up here. And so what we want to do is we want to work it up to that line right there. To go around here, there's a little thing I got to show you. Now, let's go ahead and do this other, and then we'll worry about that. 0.3. Be sure and select your line. If you don't, it'll do all kind of squirrely things on you. It'll move all kind of stuff. It won't be just that line that moves. All right. Think of it in a way, it's a certain kind of kit building. You know, you're just doing it with lines, and you're doing it in software instead of with plastic. Although this will eventually become plastic. Again, I'm talking and not thinking about which tool I need to get to. All right, now, we're going to stop that row because since all of these, see how the window, all of the windows intersect that board right there. So we're going to save that one for last. That'll be the last one because there's a special thing we got to do. Now, look at this. This line here, this board here, is one big long line. So we have to connect that. Let's zoom in because I want you to understand. This has to be that X right there. All right, click and start your process. If you don't have one of these space mouses, you're going to probably have to go over here and use your pan tool. You can click on the pan tool and you can move your model over, and then when you go back to your line tool, it'll pick up where you left off with the line. But I'm fortunate to have one of these space mouses. Now, we want to draw that line in that corner. Let's go. We're not seeing an X. There it is. Okay. All right. Now, we're going to pull that. We can pull that. I'm trying to get it where you can sort of see what's happening. Come out. 0.3. Type it in. Enter. Now, let's zoom in because the bigger it is, the easier it is to make this happen. Don't forget to select your line. Every now and then I'll forget to select my line, and oh my goodness, it pulls stuff all over the place. But when that happens, just hit Control-Z and it'll take you back to where you were. All right, let's move that line. This is a big one. Boom. Okay. But now let's go look at the corners and make sure that see, it did do. We'll look on this side. All right, now this board is a special case condition because if you notice, unlike these pieces that are terminated fully on each side, this is not. Only part of it is terminated. The rest of it is one continuous piece. Now, it took a while for me to figure this out. I tried all sorts of things, but I finally found a solution that will work. All right, let's go in. We've got to harden the lines right here. We've already hardened this one when we did this. All right, let's get our pencil tool. Go in here and remember, X is your friend. Sometimes it takes a minute to find that X. There we go. But be patient. Get the X. Don't get a box or a circle. That's not what you're looking for. See how that's a box? That's not it. That's it. All right. Why it makes a difference, I suppose it has to do with being exactly on plane. And you will not push-pull a rectangle that is not flat. It won't happen. All right. All right. Now, here's where it gets interesting. What we've got to do, go get your select tool now. We've got to select all three of these lines, and we do that by, see it turn blue? All right, now let's get this one. Hold your control key down, and what that does is it adds it to that, okay? We've got to select all three of these lines. Okay, now, actually, my fault. I'm getting ahead of myself. 0.3, got to pull it out. Now go and select those lines. Hit your control key, select the line. Hit your control key. Now, I'm going to pull out, maybe you can see all three of those lines are blue, right? All right, now watch what I'm going to do. Remember I showed you that alternate technique for making that go back to, we're going to take this line, got to get your move tool. Get on line, pull that down. See it's pulling, see how it's pulling over here as well? It's also pulling over there, you can't see it. Go to that line, see it snap? Okay. Now, look what's happened though. And we've got to deal with this. See, it did make it. It made all three of those lines do exactly what we wanted it to do. But now we have this to deal with. Now watch this. You got to go under here and select that line. Get it big enough for you to see what's happening. You got to get that line right there. Okay. Now we want to take that, get our move tool, move that back until we're, see how it's snapped right there? All right, on edge, click it. Now watch this. Now, see how beautiful that is? See how it worked? All right, now we got to do the same thing over here. Don't even ask me how I figured this out. I don't know. I just kept trying things. This one was a hair puller. But whatever works. All right, select our line. That's the line we're dealing with right there. Now go up here. You might have to zoom in kind of close because that makes it easier to work with because it's bigger. You got further to move it and that kind of stuff. Hit your move tool. You're wanting to move that blue line back until it says on edge. All right. Now, get your eraser tool. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Now, see how nice that is? For a while, I was actually compensating for that by making my windows fall exactly on the line. Well, you don't always want to do that. It doesn't happen like that in the real world, you know. I want to be able to do it however I want to do it. Okay, now we're back to just a regular panel. This panel should harden our line. Looking for the X. Wait, yeah, okay. Now, pull forward, type in 0.3. Now, once again, if we get this one to work right, I won't put you through all the others. I think by now you've got the drift. But there is another little... oh, now that one's not wanting to do for some reason. I must not have picked it up. All right, Control Z. Get on the edge. Okay, see, I wasn't on the edge for some reason. Now, if you're not on the edge, if you're anywhere in here, even if it's just a little bit off, that other stuff starts to happen. That lets you know you're not on the edge. So just stop it and do Control Z until you get back to where you were. And then make sure you're on that edge, because that's what you're moving. You're not moving this part of the panel. You're moving that line right there. All right. I think you get how to do that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish all of these right in here, and then we're going to do this top one because it's a special piece too. And so when I get all of these finished, I'll come back and I don't know. I may just go ahead and do this and speed it up. I won't talk while I'm doing this. All right, I'm going to slow it back down. I just came upon a way to save some time. It dawned on me, because of moving these three down here at the same time, we can move multiples at the same time. I don't know if they need to be on the same plane or not, but since you're moving them the same distance, it made sense that it might work. So I tried selecting two panels and pulling them out at the same time, but that did not work. So go ahead and pull out this panel, 0.3, and pull out this panel, 0.3. Now, it doesn't work to pull all of these out because you can't get, once this is out to here, you have no reference point as to where to push it back to. So you can't do but two at a time. But here's what we got to do. Here's the trick. Select that line right there. Now hit your Control key and add this line to it. See, now both lines are blue. Now, when I go in, when I move this one back, if you will notice, it also moved that one back. See? As long as the distance is the same, as long as you're performing the same identical function on both pieces, you can do 2 at a time. But anyway, I just thought I'd slow it back down and show you that. That would save you a considerable amount of time, because had I known that when I was doing these panels, almost in the length of time it took me to do these 3 panels, all of these would have been done. But anyway, whatever works. All right, let's do some push-pull in here. 0.3. All right. Select our line. Hit your control thing so that you can add to it. Get your push-pull tool. Make sure you're on that line. See how it's affecting the other one the same way it did that one? All right. Then when I click off, once I snap in there, click again and end the process. That went too far back. I thought so. All right, let's do it again. I knew it didn't feel right. Now we got it. Yeah. All right. Just have to sort of pay attention to what's going on. All right. 0.3. I'm constantly trying things, and this is why knowing how certain things work in the program, it helps you reason how to use those principles or those ways that it'll work. All right. Whoop, I said I didn't hit my control. Control adds things together. If you don't hit the control, it deselects one and selects another. All right, let's move that back. Get on edge. See, that's a 2-click process. You click to start the process, and then when it hits that edge, you have to click it again to stop it. Otherwise, it'll keep moving. All right, we're fixing to get to the good stuff here in a minute. 0.3. 0.3. All right. Select our line. Hit our control bar, select that line. Now, if you watch, when I do this one, you'll see this one over here pop in place because they're both, all right, on edge. Okay. I constantly keep looking at my edge to make sure that I'm not. All right, but if you look down there now, we've got lap siding all the way down. Now we've got this one special piece that we've got to do. Watch close now. This last piece is real tricky. This might be the hardest part of the whole thing to do, and this is why for so long I just made the windows work out to where they fell on a line. But it will work. And I have no idea why this sequence works. I went through 2 or 3 different things. This afternoon when I did this, it seemed like it worked easier, but maybe not. I was fresher this afternoon. All right. This last board, you see the trim goes up into this board, and that's where the problem comes in. Pull out 0.3. Now, what we've got to do in order to tilt that board is we've got to get these trim pieces out of the way. Now, why you have to pull that out, I don't know. If you don't pull it out, it stops you when you get to that line right there or right here. But when you pull it out like this, for whatever reason, the front part of the board will then go down, I guess because it's clear right here. Anyway, you got to get right in that little area right there and go down. Type in 1 millimeter. Now, if you will notice, that takes you below the line there, below that board line. All right. Let's go over here and do that. Do that for every trim. Go down 1, type in 1. The reason we got to type in 1 is because we want to go back to the same place. Okay. Now we've got to draw a line all the way across from here. Even though we have lines, we don't have a line right there. So this makes it where we have one line to deal with. We got to go all the way to the other side and make this one continuous board. To right there. Now, that gives us a board that we can now deal with that top piece on. Go up in there, select that line, get your move tool, and click it back. Why it goes exactly where it needs to go, I don't know. I'll accept that. Now, here's what you've got to deal with. See, it's correct on both sides. Now we've got to go back and fix our windows. And the way we do that is we now have to pull this out. And if we touch that, it makes all of this planar in one plane. Now let's get rid of that line. Okay. Now let's go over and do that to the others. Now I'll show you why we won't finish fixing it until the last. Pull that out, touch here because that makes it planar where both of these are in the same plane. Get rid of this. But that's part of the fun is solving these problems. I rather enjoy a challenge. Okay, make it planar. Erase the line. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to pull each of the, remember our trim is 1.5 inches. Now we don't want to go back at that angle. We want to go straight up with this line. So start this and hit your up arrow so that it constricts it to the up axis and type in 1.5. All right, now that line is where we want to take this to. Get your push-pull tool. Might have to zoom in a little bit so you can get a big enough area. See how it selected that? Now, when we go to here, voila, touch that line. And now, why we have to go to all that and why it allows us to go up in there like that, I have no idea, but whatever works. It does work. And this is the hardest part of the whole model. Everything else is, even the roof is a little bit tricky, but I'm going to show you some neat stuff once we get to the roof. I mean, if you don't already know how to do multiples of copies and all that, you're going to love that volume. All right, there we go. Let's hit my select button so I don't go pulling something that I don't want to. Let's get rid of our lines now. Whew, that was a bit of a, okay. Look at all your lap. See how it laps? Everything's lapping. Even that top piece laps. That took some doing to figure that out. I know some of you that know this program inside out go, I had nothing to do that. But anyway, there we go. Let's admire our work. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put you through it. I'll do the rest of the. You've got the principle now. You see how to do it. Yeah, get on around that, but I'll get the rest of it done, and we'll get back together, and we'll put a roof on this puppy. We will. All right, I've put the siding on all around, and I thought I'd bring you back for one last look at where we are now. We've got windows, doors, chimney, and siding. We've got one step left to go, and that's to put the roof on. I'm going to put some roof tiles up there. And I've got some neat little tips and tricks to show you. There's some unique little features that we'll use to get that done without it taking us forever. We won't draw every little tile up there. But whoa. I'm guessing this, if I had done this all in one pass, I could probably go back now and do this in, an hour and a half. And we've probably got 20 minutes on the roof. But anyway, I'll see you on the next episode, and we'll put the roof on there, and then we'll print this thing out and see what it looks like. Thanks for watching.